Hi everyone, it's Wendy from Cinnamon Sweet Shop, and today I'm going to be making a chocolate cream Swiss roll. To start, I'm going to be using a jelly roll pan. You could use this or a half sheet pan. The main difference is the jelly roll pan is a little bit smaller, about an inch or so smaller than a half sheet, so the cake will be a little bit thicker. Now with cake rolls, they are very thin cakes to begin with. So if you're going to want it a little bit thinner, then the half sheet would be better to use. Now I'm going to spray my pan real well with my cooking spray, and then I'm going to line it with parchment paper. Sift together some flour. Now I'm using whole wheat pastry flour, but you can use all-purpose flour. Dutch processed cocoa powder, a little bit of instant coffee, and baking powder, and I have a little bit of salt in here. In a heavy mix master with the beater attachment, I'm going to whip up 4 egg whites. And I'm going to whip these until they're at stiff peaks. To do the stiff peak test, just take your beater and hold it up. And if the peak stands straight up, it's done. If it starts to flop down a little bit, it's not done. And this is done. In a small bowl with a whisk, I'm going to just add in the egg yolks. And these are 4 egg yolks, sugar, and vanilla extract. And I'm just going to beat them until they become light and fluffy. Going to add in the dry ingredients. This is a real thick batter here, but what we're going to do next, and it's supposed to be this thick, so don't worry about it. I'm going to take half of the whipped up eggs and we're going to fold that in. See how much thinner it got from adding in that first half. Now we're going to add in the rest of the egg whites. Fold that in, making sure not to deflate them. You'll get your nice arm workout today doing this. Make sure you preheat your oven to 425 degrees. And I'm going to pour the mixture into my pan. And you'll see it's nice and thin, so it should pretty much move around on its own from side to side. But you're going to also need to smooth it out with a spatula. I'm using an offset spatula to spread this around. And for those that are not bakers out there, the difference between an offset spatula is, well, this is a straight spatula. The offset is on an angle a little bit, so it dips in so that you don't have to worry so much about the sides. And the reason I'm doing this is, again, to spread it out, but you don't want to bang the pan or shake it around to get it to smooth out because of the whipped eggs. You don't want them to deflate. And when I'm done doing this, I'm going to bake it in the oven for about 6 to 8 minutes, or until the sides are a bit on the spongy side. You don't want to overbake this. This cake is now cooling for a few minutes, and what I'm going to do next is, with the tea towel, I'm just going to flip it over onto the towel. And I'm going to peel off the I'm going to carefully peel off the parchment. I'm going to roll the cake up. This is still a little bit warm, but I'm going to roll this up in the towel and let it cool for about 20 minutes. This will help it not crack when I go to fill this later on. And in the meantime, I'm going to make the filling. Take some softened butter. And remember, guys, all of the measurements and for this recipe are at the link below in the description box. So check to see that. I have some short ink here. I always use Spectrum brand. It's available in the health food section of your store or in the health food store. It's a little bit healthier. It's palm oil rather than some of the hydrogenated oils that are manufactured out there. Some vanilla extract. And I have about a cup of granulated sugar. I'm going to go ahead though and mix this up a little bit first. A cup of granulated sugar. But I also have a little bit extra on reserve just in case I need more. It's humid here, so to get the right texture I may have to add a little bit more into it. So I'm just going to dump in the powdered sugar, mix that down a little bit at a very low speed. And then the last thing I'm going to add in is, it's about an 7-ounce tub of marshmallow cream. And I'm just going to mix this until it becomes a nice creamy filling. I'm going to unwrap the cake roll. And you notice when I rolled it too, which I didn't really point out before, I rolled it from the long way on up, not from the shorter distance. You know what I mean. And from here, I'm going to just put in the filling. But then I have my offset spatula again. Roll it back up. Now this, not a hard thing to do, but sometimes it takes a little bit of practice to get a nice round roll. Make sure it's nice and tight in there. I transferred this onto a half sheet pan on a cooling rack, and I'm going to put some ganache on top. So stay tuned, and I'm going to show you how to make the ganache. For the chocolate ganache, I'm going to boil the cream until it starts to come to a simmer. Remove it from the heat and then just add it into some chocolate. It's chopped chocolate. I'm using a bittersweet chocolate. You can use a dark chocolate, a milk chocolate, any kind of chocolate you want. But I'm letting the cream sit in here for a couple of minutes so it'll start to melt the chocolate down. Then I'm going to mix it around. I cut my cake roll in half. That way I'm going to have 2 of them out of it instead of one long one. It makes it a lot easier if you want to freeze one, have one for another time, give some away to people. It makes it much easier to do that. And with the chocolate ganache, I'm going to pour it over on top. And it's just going to drip down along the sides. And we have the drip tray, so I could just scoop it back up and pour it again. So if you like them extra thick, you can do a second layer on it. Let the first layer cool off. And then just go reheat it and just go back over it and do a second layer. I'm going to pop these in the refrigerator and refrigerate them until I'm ready to use them. But it would probably be best to refrigerate them for about an hour or so. We're in a very humid climate here in Pennsylvania, so I would even recommend keeping them refrigerated until you're ready to serve them. I might actually decorate them. I think I will actually decorate them with some buttercream on top. Now, you can leave this the way it is and it looks really good this way, or you can make it a little fancier. And I have a pastry bag filled with a mocha, well, not a mocha, it's a coffee flavored buttercream and a star tip, and I'm going to just put a few shells along here. And I'm not done with that. Here I have some ground up semi-sweet chocolate, and I'm just going to sprinkle some across the top. So don't forget, for this recipe, for all your other recipes, make sure you go to cinnamonsweetshoppe.com and subscribe to this channel. The link's right above.